is designed to support Chief Operating Officer in these uncertain and challenging business times, getting COOs in transition on your way to your next job opportunity. Open to COO Forum members, as well as any Chief Operating Officer or second in command executive, pro bono, without absolutely no fee or obligation. This initiative aligns with the Chief Operating Officer Business Forum, Inc., COO Forum core values, and is expressly intended for all Chief Operating Officers and second command executives. We are in our 6th month, and we're very excited about our lineup as we go forward. We're also looking at different ways to enhance our abilities to help and support you. We have some guidelines, just a reminder, meeting courtesy. We want everybody muted while the program is going, so it just keeps all the noise down. Business first. If you need to step away, run to the restroom, go get a cup of coffee, whatever you need to do. We're very casual, very relaxed. Nobody's keeping track. We prefer business language and no politics. We just find it works better. This meeting is recorded and posted in the Mighty Network, as have been all the sessions we've had. And feel free to jump in there and if you missed something, get back to it there. And the other one is keep your job prospects confidential. You know, there's nothing worse than somebody poaching on your opportunity. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that that each person that's job searching has a different one. With that, I'd like to introduce the COO Forum people. First off, Fiona Murray has been absolutely phenomenal and is at the point of the member services in this initiative. And I'm sure most of you have touched base with her. She's joined us and she's been with us approaching a year, and we're really excited that she's part of our team. Laura Weichel is the COO Forum is second in command for 13 years and our executive vice president. Based in Atlanta, Georgia, she's responsible for leading the many and various activities of the Chief Operating Officer Business Forum, COO Forum organization, and leadership over all chapters, chapter directors, and members. She is an extraordinary, upbeat, and visionary who creates wonderful outcomes and successes. Laura, I'm going to throw it to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Bill. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. And I'm super excited to introduce Christy Haley Stover, who's joining us today. I'm not seeing the Brady Bunch squares, but I think she's at the top. Christy, I'm going to give you a little background on Christy so you know where she comes from, and then I'm going to turn it over to her. Christy Haley Stover is the CEO of Platinum Resource Group. It's a project-based and interim professional staffing firm to Fortune 1000 companies. Her passion is initiating and developing relationships. Helping others succeed is her core business strategy. She started her company after working in technology and operations leadership positions for companies such as Disney, Toshiba, Nestle, and FedEx. Christy received her MBA and a BS in computer systems at Chapman University. She serves on the board for Advancing Women in Technology, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the advancement of women in technology fields. She also serves on Leadership California, Chapman University's MBA Mentor Program, and on the technology board for Working Wardrobes. And there's more about her that she'll share, but I'm going to turn it over to you, Christy, and let you take the screen and get on with your topic.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you all. And it's great to see some familiar faces and certainly some new ones. So what I'd like to do today is just to impart some of, I call them the world according to Christy things, and hopefully they'll be beneficial for you. And what I learned, and I'll go ahead and bring up my screen, but what I learned early on when I started my company was that relationships were at the core of everything. And when I left Disney and I was in an operator, I set off into this big world of consulting. Well, what I didn't realize at the time was that this big world of consulting meant that I was a salesperson. And so the whole sales idea was kind of scary to me. So I started at a firm and worked for 2 years, and the CEO of that firm just kept on saying, focus on relationships, the business will come. So I had that reel going on in my head. And when I set off on my journey all on my own as an entrepreneur, I had that going, and developing relationships has never been a problem for me, but it was scary times. So I started my relationship, my business right before the economy fell apart. So I started in 2007. Everything was going along swimmingly. And what we do is consulting and staffing in all of these different areas. And what I learned was that once the economy was falling apart, oh my gosh, my competitors were going out of business, executives and people were losing their jobs left and right. And it was really, really scary. So I really had two choices. I either had to make it work, or I had to close up shop and go back and try to find a job during that horrible time. And so what I decided to do was something really different. And again, that whole reel of focus on the relationships, the business will come, really kind of stuck in my head. And so after a period of time, just trudging along, I knew that I really had to find a way to make it work. And so the whole thought about developing relationships, and again, something that we'll talk about today is when you ask for help, a lot of times it scares people. So I had to get really creative about finding business, not asking for help. And the reason that I say this is because I find that growing a business and looking for a job is really the same thing when you think about it. And so I set off, I had these two wonderful grandmothers that would speak into my ear, Christy, focus on helping people and it will always come back to you. And so that's what I set off to do. And I was helping people, find new jobs or just get them connected to other people. I was finding ways to connect people, finding reasons to connect people, having people share job leads, all of those things just to really, see what I could do to add value to others. And then what happened was I started my business in Southern California, and I became known as a connector. I really didn't know that I was a connector at that time. I just thought I was helping people. And next thing you know, I was meeting people and they said, gosh, so many people have told me that I need to get to know you. And then I met an executive coach who had left public accounting after 22 years to start as a partner to start her executive coaching business. And she set off and was focusing on helping executives in transition. And she was introduced to me and she said, what are you doing and why? And is it sustainable? And I said, oh my gosh, but what I found was that networking and helping people and connecting and adding value, it was leading me to business. So when I would help people, what I knew is that they had people in their networks who were decision makers. And so if I helped them and got to know them, then they might introduce me to somebody in their network. And that's what happened. So drip, 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 I was getting business along the way. And then, so when I met this executive coach, and she helped me, because my vision was to bring people together. I just really didn't know what we would talk about. And what we did was we put together an executive in transition program. And so it's based on three major pillars. One is identifying your brand coming from a place where you thrive. Secondly is how do you tame all those voices that are going on in your head? And then lastly, how do you step into your most empowered self on demand? So we offer this boot camp. And So people ask why we do it. It's a free program. And why we do it is because we get to know people. And then as a result, it becomes like a lead generation for us as a company. And so it's been our business strategy for many, many years. And I know that at one point you guys talked about The Go-Giver. Who knows The Go-Giver book? Yeah, I had heard that you guys had reviewed that. And so I was reading that book when we were putting together boot camp, and I had this big aha, and I thought, if people in transition would read this book, they would have a much better time in transition. And I think their transitions would be much shorter. So we put together this boot camp, and here's our upcoming one. And if you're interested, send us a note, and my contact information will be at the end. But if someone's interested, please reach out, and we'd like to be a resource for you. It's a really good program. So today, what I really want to focus on is how you may be showing up. And I have a lot of thoughts about energy. And then I want to share with you, kind of a step-by-step method to creating a connection. And then lastly, and the reason that this is last is for a couple of reasons. Everything builds on each other, and planting seeds to get assistance from others rather than reaching out and asking for help, or worse yet, is holding it back and not asking for help, but knowing that you want help. So energy, there's a couple things. And again, I said that this is the world according to Christy. It may not be right, but it is my world. So I happen to like the world that I live in. And so I believe that everything is based on energy. And it's not, like high energy, low energy, but there is a scale of energy. And I do believe that energy impacts more than you realize. And I mentioned here, emails, resume, voice, in-person meetings, Zoom presence, all are affected by energy. And what we know about energy is that truly it's a vibration. And when you have a higher frequency of energy, the vibration that you're emitting is also out there, and it can be palpable. And I believe that you can even feel energy over Zoom. And I'm going to see if I can get more of you so I can see your faces a little bit more. How many people feel that when they're on a Zoom meeting or something, their energy might be low? Can I get a show of hands? Okay. And what about any video interviews? Do you feel that you have good energy, or is it challenging to get to that good energy level? Show of hands. Okay. So, and then what about resumes? Does anybody feel like their energy level can be picked up on a resume? No, it can. Okay, so this again, World According to Christy, please allow me. And so I believe that when you're writing an email and your energy level is at a very positive state, and you have that positive feeling, that the energy in your writing comes across. And so I have a practice, and again, now here's my platform is sales and job search are really the same thing. Would some of you agree? Okay, so sales and job search is really the same thing. So if you got an email from a salesperson, you would be able to tell that their energy level, I mean, of course, they're selling. So they have higher energy. So the practice that I do is it doesn't matter what email I send. And I can tell you more times than not, when I don't think about this is when I send an email that I'm really not happy with afterwards. But when I put myself in a state of positivity and authenticity and just speaking my heart, not thinking about, am I saying the right words? It's speaking my heart, then my communications out are so much better. And I will tell you, I think it lands better. I have statistically, I get a much higher response rate from the emails that I send where I have been very thoughtful in my communication. And I am personally at a state of I'll even call it above the line energy. So when you look at this scale that I have here, if you look in the middle, it says neutrality, boldness, vanity, anger. Well, so neutrality is kind of like, you're in a neutral state, and I would call that the line. Anything above the line or below the line, you want above the line. And because it's like love, joy. And I truly believe that, when we live in that state, our communications and the things that we do reflect the state that we're in. So resumes, and there's a resume, and I'm happy to send it out to you if you'd like. There's a resume that I use as an example that in my mind, it reflects energy. It's like every time I look at this resume and I read it, it's like, oh, wow. And you can just read the energy in it. And there are also resumes that I've read that all I can say is that person's puffy chested and isn't necessarily the best communicator. And probably maybe not even truthful. And we know that resumes, in the absence of someone meeting us, our resume is our calling card. And so if we're writing the resume in a really, in a state of higher frequency or higher energy, it's going to come across differently because it's not a flat piece of paper. It's truly more than a flat piece of paper. And so, but you have to be authentic and congruent. And there's actually a speaker that I'll probably recommend to Laura and Bill that talks about energy congruence, but you have to be authentic. So that's why, if I'm in a state of low energy, I'll tend to have fewer interactions with people. But what I focus on is trying to get into that state of higher energy, because it's not something I believe you can fake. I heard early on, fake it till you make it. And I believe that in certain cases, but when it comes to energy, hey, I've faked it till I made it, when I was really early in my career, and I said, hey, yeah, I know Excel. And I didn't. But when it comes to energy, I do believe that we have to be authentic with our energy. So what we want to do is to make sure that when we're writing that email, when we're creating our resume, when we're interacting with somebody or on a networking meeting, we want to be in that positive energy state. And there are things that we can do to shift it. So when in our boot camp, we have a couple of tools that people can use to shift their energy and really get in that more positive state. But then there's other tools in our toolbox that we can use. And I use country music. And one reason is because country music doesn't really have swear words. And I like the beat. So everyone has something else. There's a friend of mine that uses Journey, Don't Stop Believing, and they just play that over and over again. And so music is great for shifting your energy. So whether it's shifting your energy before a meeting, shifting your energy before an email communication, or shifting your energy before you make tweaks on your resume. Whatever it takes, it's important that your energy is authentic to you and that you're conscious of your energy before you do something. And again, you can control it. It's not something that you have to live with. But, and I know this to be true, that when you are with somebody that has high energy, does it make you feel like you have high energy, or does it bring your energy level up? Nod your head, thumbs up, right? Okay, so I get people caught up in my wake. I love interacting with people, and I'm not an extrovert. I am truly an introvert, just less of an introvert than I used to be. But I call it, you want to get people caught up in your wake. And when you get people caught up in your wake, oh my gosh, you've left them with this feeling of almost joy, right? And it's somebody that you want to interact with again. So I believe that we can control it, and I believe that it has an impact on others. And I truly, truly recommend that we all monitor our energy and think about ways that we can spread joy and happiness and just that positive energy out to people. Okay, so I told you about making the most or a step-by-step connection process. Okay, so I believe that that we all have a power cord that we can attach to others. And so, but it starts with a desire. So the book, The Go-Giver, is one that I encourage people to read. But what I knew early on, so when I started my business and the economy fell apart and the former CEO from the former company I was with, focus on the relationships, the business will happen. It's like all of these things, I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. So imagine, many people have to go find a job. I have to support a business and employees and put food on the table at home and pay my mortgage. And I was terrified. So I said, okay, I've got to focus on the relationships and get the business to come. Doggone it, I'm going to figure out how to do this. So what I learned was that it starts with desire, a true desire to connect with people. And not connect with people because. It's truly to connect with people. And I call it this pure desire. So, I have to I have to remove any ulterior motive or just because I want something. I have to remove that. I truly have to have a desire to connect with somebody. And then I have to focus on a couple of things. And you're going to think that this is kind of wacky, but hey, it's worked for me, is focus on this connection. So early on, when I was experimenting with how can I make every interaction a positive interaction? How can I connect with every single person? I had this visual of a power cord. Okay, so if I can focus a power cord and plug it into me first, and then I'm going to work my way to plug it into you, because once I can plug it into you, then the energy is bidirectional. And when it's bidirectional, we have a connection. I'm not talking to a flat screen. I'm not talking to somebody who may or may not want to know me. It's truly a connection. And once you plug it into that other person, you know it. Or you have to trust it. And then it's about getting curious about that other person. And when you're curious about that other person, they feel it. They feel the true authenticity of you. They feel that you're genuine and authentic. And people who know that they're interacting with somebody that's genuine and authentic, they want to interact with you more. They want to develop, a deeper relationship with you. And then there's something, and you're really going to think that this is wacky, but try it. there's a right brain connection. And the whole thought in this book called The Other Mind's Eye, and I thought it was wacky, but hey, I used it and it worked, and I've been using it ever since. It's look left eye to left eye. So the whole thought that there's a right brain and a left brain. The left brain is more logical. Right brain is going to be more emotional. And so I always focus on the emotional connection. And then you can move over to the other side, but left eye to left eye. So when you're making a connection with somebody, and if you look left eye to their left eye, you can start making that connection. So I have a thing when I'm talking to an engineer about something very technical, I'm going to talk, right eye to right eye, but most of the time I'm connecting with people and I want to touch their heart, because I believe once you touch their heart, you have them. So left eye to left eye, and then you're talking into their emotions and you're truly touching them. And then I say, use discretion. So there are people that, maybe I don't want to give them my energy. I'm going to hold back because maybe there's something that I'm not feeling. And so I do leave that out for people. If they're, just sensing that maybe somebody's not authentic, then, why waste it, right? So does all of this make sense? Okay, so you don't think I'm too wacky? I've been doing this for years, and I'm telling you, I absolutely believe that it works. At least it works for me. Okay, so networking virtually. And people say, especially senior level people, that finding a job in this COVID pandemic is harder than anything. But what I think is we have to create opportunities. And there's a couple things that I wanted to share with you. It's like, have a virtual wine tasting with, some people in your COO group. Just say, hey, let's do a little wine tasting. There's plenty of those opportunities. And once you get to know people, then they're going to start helping you on your, kind of working your cause. And we'll talk more about how the brain works and why I believe this. And then, discuss movies, Netflix series. I'm really into Netflix series right now. And then industry discussions. So within even your COO group, or within, bring a small group of people together and create opportunities to connect. Because when you're connecting, that's when you can stay top of mind to people. And they can keep you in mind when they hear something, because you're all COOs, but you're all different flavors of COOs. Not one job is not right for everyone. And then the other thing is utilize Lunch Club AI. And this is really, it's an AI tool. You fill out a form and they start matching you with people. And it's, a 45-minute session. You can schedule as many as you want during the week. And it is a way to go out and meet people outside of your network. So you've got, your own network, and then you've got your COO network. And this is a way to meet other people outside of that. And I tried it. I did probably 6 meetings, and 4 of them were really beneficial. There were 2 that maybe weren't, but I think that those odds are really pretty good. And then, meeting in person. And meeting in person is what we used to do a lot of. When I started my company, I had 5 to 8 to 10 coffee meetings a day with people. And, and it is about making sure you have that power cord connected from you to them. And then it's about getting curious about what you could do to help them, knowing, just absolutely trusting that they're going to do the same for you. And then, of course, conversation starters. Be interested and be interesting. Okay, so now we get to kind of the meat of it. So getting assistance for others. So again, World According to Christy, I believe that when when we ask somebody for help, and I've seen this so many times, people either jump in and help, or they kind of go into this, I feel like I'm going to fail, so I'm going to shut down. Has anyone had an experience where they've reached out to somebody and then no response, asking for help? Okay, come on, there you go. It happens all the time. And while it's really easy to take it personally, it's not that at all. It's that they're afraid that they're going to fail. So what if you think about, they're afraid that they're going to fail, so that's why they haven't responded. And when you think about it that way, you kind of give them a little bit more grace, huh? So if you think about planting seeds rather than asking for help, it's a completely different experience. Okay, so there's this book, Magic of Believing. And I learned about this book. It was written in the 40s. So it's one of those old, my mom used to carry these old, like checkbook size, they're called pocket books. And when I was with Disney, I had gotten a promotion, had this office with all these bookshelves in it, and they were completely empty. But then I went away one time and came back to my office, and there was this little book sitting on the bookshelf. And of course, you couldn't miss it because the bookshelves are empty, except for this little tiny book. And it was The Magic of Believing. And I thought, wonder what that was all about. So took me a couple months, but I read the book and I started thinking, wow, I had no idea. So the whole concept, bottom line, is that when you plant seeds, what you're doing is planting seeds to leverage other people to help you achieve what you want to achieve. Okay, so there's a couple of case studies or stories in the book that share this. But so when you're looking for a job, or when you're trying to get something, or even, hey, someone used this on me and I couldn't even believe that it worked, but it did. You're looking for a number two for, you land this great job and you need a second in command to you. So you're second in command, you need a second in command to you. All you have to do is plant some seeds, and then all of a sudden people are looking out for you. So imagine in job search, you just say, hey, Josh, how you doing? It's good to see you, or it's good to talk to you. How's the wife and kids, or how's that new dog that you got? And well, I'm glad that everything's going okay. Yeah, well, for me, I'm looking for a job. I'm in the process, and I'm looking at these types of companies. Here's an example of a role. And then you just go on your merry way. See you later, and what you're not doing is asking for help, but what you are doing is planting a seed. And then you want to go back and water that seed some more, and plant lots of seeds, because what happens to the brain? Our brains are wired to solve problems. And when somebody plants a seed with us, what's happening is that we can't even subconsciously, we may not even be aware of this. We're working to solve that problem in the background. And then something might happen at a cocktail party or a Zoom cocktail party. And somebody just says, hey, I'm looking for someone like this. Do you know of anyone? Or we're expanding our team, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly you come to mind. That's what happens. And that's what we want to do more of. So when you plant seeds, you stay top of mind. And when you go back and water them, and the whole thing is, you never know which seed is going to sprout. But what you do know is that a seed will sprout. So what you want to do is to take that approach, plant seeds, use it as an opportunity to reach out to people, and then let them know what you're looking for, and even say, keep me in mind. but you're not asking for help, because if you ask for help, sometimes, again, there are those people, they don't want to fail, so they just shut down. So allow them to help you without being fearful of failing. And then always remember to give. And I always say, I err on the side of focusing on giving more than I'm taking, or giving more than I'm asking for. But always remember to give to others. Always remember to think of others, because when you do, people know that that's who you are, and they just automatically want to help. So The Influence of Persuasion, I think that's the title, by Robert Cialdini. Many of you have probably heard of it, but there's this law of reciprocity, and it's just how we're wired. When we give to others, it's just by nature that they will give back to us. And we have to trust that that's the way we're wired. And so helping somebody else just allows it to come right back to you. And I'm living proof. I've built an entire company on it. And so about making sure that you're giving to others. And when you give to others, it gives them an opportunity, and actually helps them feel comfortable in receiving your help, and then helping more people. It just kind of is this effect that just everything flows when people are giving to others. Another thing, and I didn't mention, is asking, who do you know? Rather than asking, do you know somebody? Asking, who do you know, is a much better way. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here's a sample email. So a lot of times people ask for, or want an introduction, and if somebody says, well, hey, this is I know somebody, and send me an email helping me introduce you. So I wanted to share this with you. It's a sample email, and so this is an example of an email that someone can send on your behalf. Because again, people are afraid of failing. If you make it easy for them, then, the whole making introductions is challenging for people. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to do it. They're afraid of imposing. And this is an example of an email. I also this is actually one of the boot campers that we put through the program. And by the way, we've put 3,000 people through the program. He shared this with me, and this is an example of something that was written with energy. You can read the energy, I believe. And this, and I'll, Laura has these, so she can send them out to people. But I do think that it's a way of helping somebody help you. Or it's also a way of you helping somebody else when they want an introduction. Okay, and then I mentioned the Go-Giver. Here's the 5 stratospheric laws of success. And I actually have this put up in my office, and I refer to this a lot. But the one I want to point out is the last one, the law of receptivity. And then the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. And that's one thing that many of us have probably a harder time with, is actually receiving the help. So those of you who are in job search, sometimes it can be you may not wish to receive help, or you're afraid to seek it. But the key here is to receiving it. And by you allowing somebody to give you assistance, then it really makes it easier for somebody else to also receive assistance. Okay, so all of these things are, you know, just so related. And so this is the Go Giver, and I've been following Bob Berg for years, and I've had him speak at some of my boot camp things. And I just really, I think that all of these, and the book is something that I refer to a lot, and I've reread portions of it over and over and over again, because I do believe that so much of what we get is because of who we are. Okay, and then of course it all starts with a relationship. So, and here's my contact information. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to share some time and share some thoughts, and just, you know, be a resource for you in whatever way I can. And let's connect on LinkedIn for sure. Okay, so questions. I know that Kamal has one. High energy resume example. Yeah, I actually have one. Okay, so kind of off script here, but I'll bring it up. Okay, so this is this happens to be my favorite resume example. Okay, can everyone see it? Okay, so this is a marketing gal, and she was actually in our very first boot camp that we did in 2008. And her name's not Mary, but some of the company information I changed. But the reason that I like this resume is because a few things. Number one, these headlines here, passionate, result-focused marketing go-getter. So when you think about those words, it's like there's some positive energy there. And the other thing that I like, notice the keywords. I am not a fan of you know, all the competencies that people put on resumes, except when it says go-to executive team member. To me, it's like, you don't put that unless you're a go-to executive team member. And when you're a go-to executive team member, you know that you are in demand. And then this resume, you know, it's got headlines and it's easy to read. So the psychology of resumes, first 4 inches, that's when people decide or don't decide, decide whether they're going to read it or decide whether they're going to, you know, kind of put it aside. And so these first 4 inches, the headline is impressive, and it's all got that positive energy. And then when you look here at the way she wrote her resume, it's like, you know, it's almost like a story. Within the first 90 days of tenure, worked with the CEO, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, it's easy to read. So that's why I like that. Does that help? Okay, what other questions do you have? I'll stop sharing. High energy, more than use of exclamation points. Yes, Peter, yes. I use exclamation points, but what I believe is that it's not just exclamation points. It is really about the words that you use. And just being in that state and sharing. And I believe this, it's like when you're sharing who you are, it's not about trying to say the right thing. So when I come up from a position of just, you know, total authenticity, I'm not trying to say something that will impress them or trying to say the right thing. It will naturally be the right thing as long as I come from that place of pure intention, if that helps.
Christy, could you give some examples of giving when ultimately you want a job? And
I know. Yeah, tell me about it. It's now imagine I started my business, I signed this 5-year very elevated price lease, and the economy is falling apart. And so the whole thought about giving is it's about trusting that it's going to come back to you. Now, the things that I think help is making sure that you're in that mindset of truly being concerned or thoughtful about the other person. And when you're thoughtful about the other person, it's you ask them questions. And again, remember, I said you have to remove the intention, that any motive that you or thing that you want, you have to remove that, and you have to focus truly on that other person. And when you're focused on that other person, things happen. Absolutely magical things can happen. And it is about, asking for that person, asking what that person might need. But the generic, let me know if I can be of assistance to you, doesn't fly, does it? Does it fly with you? No, it doesn't. But when you talk to somebody, the one thing that I do is I have this, I talked about reels in my head, focus on the relationship, the business will come. Well, when I'm meeting with somebody, the reel in my head is how can I help? How can I serve? How can I help? How can I serve? And when that is going on in my head, then guess what happens? I automatically find that thing that I can do to help or to serve that other person. And when I do that, it comes right back to me. And even when I do that, and then I say, I noticed that on LinkedIn you were connected to a couple people that might be good connections for me. Would you mind making an introduction if you know them well? So it's like seeking to serve others and then asking for something specific. And I do believe it has to be specific. Then on LinkedIn, how many people are we connected to that we don't even really know? So maybe give a couple of choices. I see you're connected to these people. So those are ways that you can ask for help. And yes, and you're giving to others, but I truly believe if you really read the book, The Go-Giver, and hey, I had 5 to 8 coffee meetings a day helping other people, and I had zero income coming in. It's putting the blinders to fear on that allowed me to, really give of myself to other people. And I still do it today. Does that help?
yes, it does. Thank you.
What other questions? Oh,
Yeah, you have a few
resume
in
and
chat.
email approach. Okay, can you touch on how social media and video messaging? Video messaging, social media. So I'm not a Facebook person. I've never been, and but I do use Instagram, and I think on Instagram you can post some things. But I really believe that it's more about reaching out to people and asking, who do you know that would be a good connection for me? And there's a book, and I don't remember the name, but the whole premise of it was kicking the ball down the road. And he went on this path. Who do you know that would be a good connection for me? And everyone that he met, and then he would ask, who do you know that would be a good connection for me? And he just got one connection from every person that he met with. And in his mind, he kicked the ball down the path and he found a job, and found a really great job. And it's, that's really, I think the best way for you to make progress. And then, you know, and always, always, always keep doing it, even when you land that job. Networking is not something, you know, that you can stop. And hopefully the experience changes your life in such a positive way that you'll want to continue this. Was that helpful? Anything else? Are you guys making fun of my world according to Christie's?
I think was there one more that was in there? Did you get Jake's and Josh's?
Oh, I didn't. Where? I think I'm lost here. Oh, Jake, can you share tips for creating energy before a Zoom call? Okay, I told you country music, right? So here's what I do. I forget, and I turn off email and I don't think about anything else. And what I'll do is I'll just blast whatever music speaks to me in the moment. And so I use music, but I do think that you had a speaker not too long ago, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, that said, you know, like run in place. And he did that R movement. I practiced that, by the way, it works. And so just move around and smile, doggone it, smile. And the more you can smile, the more you can, you know, just move your body a bit and get, you know, that whatever, if it's music, whether, whatever it is that kind of gets you in that upbeat moment. And think about the joy. And sometimes, you know, people have a hard time tapping into that, but I believe that it is about joy. And when you can feel joyful on the inside, it comes out on the outside. And you got to put the blinders on everything. The other thing that I think about is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is something that really changed my life. So it's something that you'll have to look into. And I took this whole training course, so it's quite involved, but it's the whole focus of it is that you only speak positive words. So when you say don't, can't, won't, you know, whatever, those are words that really, maybe they don't have to be in your vocabulary, really. And so focusing on just positive statements keep you in that positive frame of mind, and everything just, you know, kind of flows from there. But country music.
Christy,
And I'm not even a country music person, but it gets my energy up.
Christy, this is Jake. I think my question was a little bit different. I was asking about the sort of risk reward about being unconventional in your approach. And I'll just give you a specific example, and I'm curious to sort of get your take on this. With my resume, something that a flattering thing that someone once said about me sort of sits right underneath my name and address and contact information was this quote from this person. I haven't seen a lot of resumes that do that, and I'm just curious if you think sort of approaches like that, to your point about the first 4 inches, do you find that those sorts of maybe less conventional approaches are productive or counterproductive?
So you have a quote on your resume that somebody wrote about you. I wouldn't do it.
Yes, it's something that someone said.
Okay, and I wouldn't do it. And the reason is, and again, this is the world according to Christy. I believe that people, when they, it might be, so forgive me, but it kind of is a little bit more self-serving. And I don't think that the recipient is going to read it that way. And so you want people to know who you are in the absence of what you say about yourself. And, you know, I wouldn't do that. And, but what I would do is read that quote before a conversation and because it helps the way you think about things, and it helps you know who you are inside. And when you know who you are inside, you don't have to prove it to somebody else, and you don't have to let them know, here's what somebody says about me. And what you want to do is focus on you and focus on the value that you bring. And I believe when you do that, it's like the thing that allows you to connect with people is everything that you are, Jake. And that's what you want to tap into. It's those stories where you've been able to do something that, really kind of blew you away. And that's what you want to focus on. It's like those stories of where you've thrived. That is so much more, because it is all about value. I like to say everyone has a triangle, and the thing is, with a triangle, you only get 3 points, right? So you can't say 4, you can't say 5, you got 3, and you don't want 2, because that's a line. You want 3. And when you can talk about your value in 3 points, then, and maybe use that quote as, I don't know what it is, but something about, impacting others. And you can use that in the story of how you impact others. And that's a great way to use that.
Real quick, Christy, before Karen had a question, and I want to come back to that in just a second, because I don't want to miss a couple of things before we close, because some people will have to jump off at the top of the hour. But first, Jackie, thank you for introducing us to Christy. This was wonderful today. And next week, next Tuesday, we have a very special guest who's coming to our meeting. So please don't miss it. We have the president of Korn Ferry that will be with us, and who will be talking about all his inside secrets. So please join us next week. We have a lineup all through March, which I'll look for that in the Mighty Network. And thanks everybody for coming. But also, if we can jump back in real quick, because we have 1 minute to answer Karen's question about how you water seeds.
Go back and check in on that person. And when you go back and check in on that person, you feel free to say, and what's happening on my end is I am having some good interviews, and, haven't landed that right thing yet, but I'm excited about some of the conversations that I'm having. And, and work it in. So, I talked to this one company, and it's XYZ company, it's in this space, and it's similar to this company over here that someone might know maybe a little bit better. And you're just sharing information about you, and you just go along. And again, it's, think about it, you're getting people caught up in your wake, right? Because you have that energy and you're using it to say, and here's some of the other things that I'm doing. Does that make sense? Does that help, Karen? And again, you take out the fear that you're imposing on somebody. It really is, your intention is to connect. Your intention is to really, communicate, I say, love to them. And so when you're communicating love to them, then it just kind of naturally flows. And that fear, you have to put the blinders on the fear. And water seeds, water seeds, water seeds. Because again, our mind is geared, we're designed to help. We're designed to solve problems. I hope you've enjoyed this. I might come down as the wackiest one that you've had, but
Well, thank you, Christy, very much for joining us. Different insight on planting seeds and also on energy, which is something we experienced last week too, when Andrew joined us, who got us kind of all running a little bit during our presentation, that it brings the energy back, and it's good to be reminded of that. Thank you very much. And also, if anybody was interested in Christy's boot camp that she's offering, just reach out one-on-one with her. I think her We'll post all the information into the Mighty Network, so you can grab her email there if you missed it, and connect to her on LinkedIn as well. She's easy to find. But thanks everybody for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you next week, and have a great week.
Thank you.
And thank you for having me. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.